Ooh. Uh-oh. Ta-da!
Okay, we are about to go live, and I am testing my new audio. Hopefully, this is sounding good with the music playing and me talking over it and not being buried. Um, so, one last thing that I've got to do here, I got to bring up my Photoshop so we can get started with the art today. Oh, I think we are still working on page 22. Where is... Okay, you're like a few seconds behind. That's okay. Um, so I am working with my wife right now to try to sort out the audio, make sure it does sound good, or if it doesn't, then we can get it fixed. All right, doing two or three things at the same time. That's great. We're going to page 22. There we go. Which we are almost done with. Only a little bit more to go. And okay. All right, so the music is a bit loud still. Let me go ahead and drop that back to say like minus 30. If I can hit it, there we go. Is that a good level for the music now, or should I go even lower than that? And yeah, there's no video yet. Here we go. I am on video now. Okay, so we'll go a bit lower. We'll try 35. Just fine tune it right there. I swear there's got to be a thing where I can punch in the number here, but I'm not sure how. Let me try. Um, no, it doesn't look like it's there. Okay, but that is at like right about minus 35. Okay, so that's good. All right, good. Thank you, honey. And so my audio is coming in nice and good over the music, but you can still hear the music, so it doesn't just sound like shit in the background, right? All right, thank you. All right, so okay, let's actually get started for real now. It has been really a crazy couple of months now. We've been working with all kinds of issues, insurance companies, contractors, stuff like that. So getting around to doing the art and the live stream has been a little bit hectic. I found out last Friday when I put up a quick little video from my phone saying that I wouldn't actually be doing a proper live stream, that I can't turn my phone sideways and do widescreen because then the whole video was just sideways. But, we learn as we go along. So anyway, we are here for Thursday morning live stream, working on page 22 of the fantasy coloring book, and let's just get right to it. So we'll jump over to this other screen. There we go. And this is the wizard that we are working on, page 22, where, um, as I've mentioned in previous streams, I initially drew the page for this like 6 or 7 months ago, and I was not at all happy with what I drew when I came back to start doing these inks. So we actually completely redrew the whole page to be this instead of the original drawing. And now we're just working on the inks to get it all finished up so it can be part of the coloring book for someone to color. I'm having coffee this morning in my red cup. Let's see. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. I changed the nib on my pen this morning, so I have like a felt. Well, I would say it's supposed to be like a felt nib, but that don't feel like felt at all. But, I don't know. It's gray plastic instead of black plastic. How about that? All right, we'll zoom in here to 100%. Well, actually, let me back out again a little bit.
Increase
So
your smell
we
confidence with
have,
Old
we're
Spice.
getting
What do
commercials too.
sharks, dogs,
Let me
and
mute that.
mother-in-laws all have in common? They can smell fear.
Oh wait, that doesn't work. Um,
Old Spice Eagle Fangs Body Wash.
all right, so I'm just gonna cut the volume down on that, and yeah, someday I'll pay for Spotify, I guess, maybe. All right. So anyway, we have inked the character in. Oh, I need to put a couple lines here still in his loincloth. I'm not sure why I left those out. Let me make sure my settings are all good. Some things are a little bit hard to see right now. Like anything really fine, because I'm only wearing like my distance glasses. I have to Oops. Okay, my ink is set to white. That's not gonna work. But I'm only wearing my distance glasses instead of my uh, like reading glasses, which sometimes I do have to draw with my reading glasses on to be able to see what I'm doing properly. I don't like that line. Um, let's put one in right here and actually bring it in right there. That'll do. But if I do wear my reading glasses, when I look at the camera, I'm probably bad about looking at the camera anyway, but it'll be worse, I think. Um, but that's, there's my little weakness for today. Let's see what else is going on here. We've got the robe that comes out. I've got this cloth, and yeah, this cloth actually needs to come back, right? Let me think. Yeah. So this cloth actually needs to come back right here, and I think we're gonna go ahead and just fill that in black right there. Um, so this is just a piece of cloth that's folded back in here, and that's gonna look a little weird if I leave it just like that. So let's figure out a solution. I think I've got one. We gotta kind of cut it in right here, and now I need to get zoomed in. Alright, now we're at 200%. So now we can see all the chunky little goodness of this. Alright, now we're going to fill this back in, and I'm going to clean this line out back here. Just fine tuning the edges of this to try to make sure that it looks like something um, discernible for coloring. And I'm not sure that's going to work. It's literally it's folded up cloth, and we're dealing with some hard shadows and stuff. It's gonna look weird. So better solution might just be to leave it out. Um, so what we'll do is just take that off, smooth that back off a little bit, and bring this back around. Maybe even I'll draw some of that back in. Just figuring out a solution that works for suggesting that that cloth is back there without making it too complicated to figure out for anyone that would be coloring it. Okay. And we will clear this back like so. And maybe go ahead and clear some more of it right here. Maybe. I think that bit's gonna look a little too weird. But okay, what we'll do is just leave it nice and smooth right across there. One smooth arc. Don't overthink it. And get rid of that nugget at the bottom there. There we go. And maybe just bring that back in a little bit more. Let's see what we got here. Okay, but then I've also got two lines here. So we're going to get rid of this line. And just leave this here. But arc that back like that. I can leave this dark back here, like there's some shadow being cast. It's kind of like a tight play right there between those two folds, trying to make it look just right. I think that'll do. That should do just fine. And this line went just a little bit crazy there. Now, okay. So then, let's see, his leg is here. So we can actually fill this all in with black because that's inside the outer robe. That will simplify that. I'm just going to use my paint bucket right here real quick. But you see how we get that outline. We're going to clean that up real quick here. That feathered white outline. And I mentioned in another video, if you don't know your way around Photoshop, you can avoid that by actually using a selection and then flood filling the selection. But it would probably take you longer to make the selection than it did for me to just fill that little section. Alright. And I don't like zooming in that much because then I want to sit there and fix every tiny little detail. Okay. Now that is simpler. Okay, so that is the character all laid in. And we're going to do, name this. I'm going to flatten it all out in the end. But for right now, I'm using separate layers for, that one is the, we're going to say, blast lines. Okay, so I've got blast lines on one layer, and I have part of that. Oops. So you'll notice I have a leg and a boot on the blast lines because I forgot to stay on the right layer. But then the wizard is mostly one layer all by himself. Okay, now we're going to do a layer that goes over the wizard, and this is going to be debris. Because this wizard is literally casting a fireball into a pile of rubble and like a door and some pillars and stuff like that, and bits of it are blasting back past him. Now, on the debris layer, for starters, I am going to do brush size of 15. Maybe we'll go all the way to 20. Big fat lines. The first thing is, like, I have this rock right here. And we're going to make sure this is a nice chunky looking piece of rock. It's going to cross over his form and cover him up a little bit. And then on the wizard, there's two ways I could do this. I could just erase him, or I can be a little bit more careful and use a layer mask, which is the better choice in case I decide I don't like that rock. So I'm using a layer mask to paint out the lines that are inside that form that I just laid on there. We're going to go back to the debris. Alright. Now, we'll give this thing a little bit of thickness. Oh, I think we're back to music too. Let me put that back on. If I can catch it, I will, what do you call it? I will pretty much clear out the commercials if I catch them as they come on. But this is a lo-fi mix from, let me read right here. Let's see, on Spotify, the mix is, or the, what do you call it? The playlist is put together by Andrew Masia. I'm assuming I pronounced that right. It's looks like it's Chill Beats Volume 1. It's all lo-fi music. It says it's free for your stream. I haven't gotten in trouble with it yet, but I also usually you can't hear the music in my stream anyhow. So we'll see. Let's see here. Alright, so I've got this chunk going on, and now I'm going to erase these inner lines that I just did, because I just did those with a brush size of 20, and I don't want that. The outside I do want to have that thick line. And the reason for the thick line being that, it makes it easier to see, easier to identify the different forms. And I just want to make sure that none of these forms in the rock actually like coincide with the wizard's robe, like the folds in his robe that you can see, because I want to make sure that it's obvious this is a thing in front of him. Okay, back to the debris. So we're going to get back to drawing the other stuff there. Now, this is the origin point of the debris flying out into the foreground. So let's see, I'm going to put one right here. Actually, I want to make that a thick line, if I can. Sometimes that's a little tricky with pen pressure on. No big deal, though. And I'm going to do one here, and maybe maybe two right there in the center. Oops, that one went thin. There we go. Alright, now of course that's a whole lot of lines going right through the character and everything. We don't want all of that there. This is just mainly to suggest that it's there and moving at speed, so let's take it back to about this point, and we'll clear it back. I can leave that dot there for now. That'll help me mark that location. And then, let's see, we'll go ahead and take that line back a little bit there. Maybe just kind of clear these out a little bit more in here. And maybe, let's see, take them out of the center, like back to here. Let's see how this works. Of course, right now it's a mess, but then back to my wizard. Again, I'm using that layer mask. So all I'm doing is masking out the lines that are inside this form, or inside this spot that we are coloring, or I don't know, the spot that's the what do you call it, motion lines. Yeah, that's it. Alright, so now we can see it pretty good. It's not bad, but I don't particularly like those center lines, the way they're running through there. So let's go back to the debris. I'm just going to take those, well, let's try bringing them to here first. I kind of like having them, what do you call it? Alright, we take those out. I think I'm going to make them thinner. But let's go ahead and go back to the mask and fine-tune this just a little bit more, because I do like the width of the whole stroke that we got right there. Now, of course, as far as I'm zooming in right here, probably no one's ever going to see it that close. I mean, even printed out, this thing's meant to be 8.5 inches by 11. So, yeah. So, oops. That's the trouble with moving from layer mask back to brush. Alright, but I saw that those goobers left in there from my erasing. Thought I'd clean those out. Okay, so let's do center lines, but instead of doing them at like 20 or whatever, let's bring it back down to about 10. Let's put one here. And one here. How about one here? And one here. And then we can just clean these off again. clean them back here into the shape a bit, like with the arc. Just like that. Maybe a bit more here. Okay. So, yes, one of those lines is pretty fine and thin, but let's see. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. And of course, the pencil lines that we're inking over, those are going to go away too when we're done. That's a separate layer all to itself, so I can actually turn it off now, and then we have just the clean ink lines to look at. Let's see. So, we got that little piece of debris in. Let's go with something bigger. Let's start at the bottom here. Just work our way around. Now I'm going to take my brush back to the size of 20 so that I can work on this piece of debris. And let's see, this edge I had very strong, very straight, but it's broken. So we're going to maintain something of a jagged edge along there. But this edge out here, this is the edge of like the pillar or the trim. It should be smooth, and it should not flare out. Hang on a second. Oh, okay, hold on. We're gonna jump to the Be Right Back screen. There we go. I have pedestrians passing through my area that they don't want to be on camera, so I'm letting them get by safely. Okay, we're back to the stream now, and I will probably have to pause it again in a moment when they come back. Alright, so I haven't mentioned it in this video yet, but you'll notice that my lines are not uniform, and that is intentional. I use a size variation on my brush because I like being able to use the pen pressure to create the variation between thick and thin and get some chunky, uneven lines that way. Yeah. And it works great for like when you're actually cartooning and like doing a figure and you want parts of your character to be drawn heavier than the other parts, like if they were in shadow or something like that. That's a big part of why I use this particular brush for inking. Okay, keeping an eye out in case she comes back anytime soon. Alright. Now we're going to put this hard edge in here. This is like a pillar or a square piece of trim, rather. It's kind of like, what do you call it? It's decorative metal. That's what it is. Alright. Now, the decoration, the decoration that's on this thing is, I think, very bold. So we're going to go ahead and just put that in with our full-size brush here. Let's go ahead, nice and smooth, and try to keep it
Mornings
level.
are purposeful and sacred, especially your morning coffee. Life
Maybe
is all
not
about
so
balance.
hard
With
with
Natural
it.
Bliss brown sugar flavored oat creamer, you can create your perfect
But
cup
then
that
get heavier
tastes
as I
great.
go around
That is bliss.
to get
Or try
sort
any
of a
their other
thicker
plant-based
line.
flavored creamers
Maybe
like
start
almond
this one
vanilla
off
or oat vanilla.
thicker and go to
Simple
thin.
pleasures with Natural Bliss plant-based creamers. It's not just
Okay.
coffee, it's bliss. Natural Bliss. Click or tap the banner
And
to learn
then
more.
this line,
When life gets too hectic,
we're gonna start
sometimes
heavy
you need to
here.
take a moment to refresh. Extra
Get
Refreshers hits
thinner
you with a
as we
burst of flavor
curve
that leaves
that
you
way.
feeling instantly refreshed. With
Start
multiple
heavy
flavors,
here
Extra gives
and
the
hold
enjoyment
it
of
pretty
variety
much
all
all
in
the
one pack.
way
Chew through a surge
to the
of
tip,
cooling
which
crispness,
got
or bite into some
weird
very
right there.
goodness full of long-lasting flavor. Remix your everyday moments with Extra Refreshers. Tap the
So
banner
we'll
to
just
learn
try
more.
to smooth that back out a little bit. And let's see. We're going to bring this side in. Oh, excuse me. Oh, and I just realized we just listened to a whole commercial. I apologize for that. So I actually have the volume turned way down in my ears. I can hear it, but I expect you are probably hearing it way better than I do. And so, yeah, so when a commercial comes on, I almost barely notice because I'm talking and focusing on the drawing. And what else? So drawing or talking, focusing on the drawing. And yeah, the music is literally just background noise to me. So I hardly even process when it switches from music to commercial. Okay, that's just, bleh. Look at that shit. Okay. First of all, let's make my eraser a little bit smaller. Let me get right in there and get rid of some of that goop. I'm gonna bring this around like this. Get rid of the extra stuff there. We are zoomed in now to 300%. Let me make it a little bit bigger here. And just smooth that off a little bit. And I took a wonky fucking run right there. Alright. Yeah, so at 300% you can see just everywhere that the line goes a little bit squiggly. And of course when you zoom back out, not so much. Okay. So now we have that block in place. And let's go ahead, we are still at a size of 20. We're going to put in the lines for this one. So same thing, back to here. Let's bring the first one out, like way out there. And bring this one right out here. Okay. Then let's go down to 10. Bring in a line here. A line there. What did I do before? Like two more in the middle. Just kind of like maybe one here. And one right here. Maybe we'll do two there in the center. Bring it to about right there. That'll do us. And of course, same thing. We're gonna chop this off. Let's see, how far out do we want to go? Let's do it right here and just chop right across there like that. Make my eraser bigger. And just kind of follow it all back to the origin. And then inside, I'm just gonna expand that a little bit more that way. I think I'm good with that one. Okay. Now, what else we got? We have another chunk down here. Back to size of 20. Let's give this one a little bit more of a strange wedge shape. It is literally just a chunk of rock flying through the air. That works for me. And I will put, I think this on this one, I'm gonna put this nice heavy line right here. Okay, still just keep an eye out in case she comes back, so I make sure to put us back on the be right back screen for a moment while she passes through. Okay, we're gonna do this, and that is going to be really close to there. So here's, because we are having the same origin point, let's not worry about that line specifically. And it would help if I'm using the right control, or like function key here. Let me do this, and this, and one more right here. Alright, and I do want this line to be super bold. Okay. Now I will kind of do that right there. This one, maybe we'll arc him a little bit further into the blast. And reduce the size of the eraser. And just kind of slide that right up in there. There's not a whole lot of room there to, what do you call it? Oh boy, to, like taper that. So we'll do that too. Okay. I think that should be pretty decent. Okay. Okay, we got another rock over here that's crossing into the character's figure, keeping it at 20. And here's an idea, instead of having it there just barely crossing in, let's cover this little area right here where we were having a problem anyway, because this should be even simpler than trying to figure out what's going on there for, other people. Okay. Let's bring this guy right here. Second line. And then just like, that one. Oh, that's right. I didn't do the thin lines again. Break this back down to 10. So I get my inner lines can be thinner. That'll do. I think I want my inner lines to be closer together though. Oh, alright, we're going to the Be Right Back screen. Hold on. Okay, we are on Be Right Back. Okay, we're back again. Let me find the right... There we go. We're back on the screen. Okay. So now, let's see, as far as things go, let's take this one, and I'm going to erase it just like that. Now we'll increase the size and clear out that stuff back there, the tail of it, back to the origin, make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to taper it in just a bit more here, and maybe knock those guys in. There we go. Of course, now we've got the wizard with, he's being overlapped here, so we need to just clear him out with that layer mask. Again, we're not actually erasing the drawing underneath, we're just masking it off so it doesn't show through. That way, if I change my mind later, I can undo it. Let's take a look again. Alright, we've got debris crossing over him. I've got a piece of the door down here to put in. And then we've got other stuff up at the top before we get to the fiery inferno that is his fireball. We will be, what time is it? Yeah, 7:30. We will definitely be getting through this page today, I think. I don't think there should be any issues with that. Okay, back to a size of 20 again. And bottom of the door is a straight line. That part is actually steel with, what do you call them? Oh, I'll think of it here in a minute. Rivets, like big rivets in the metal that like help to hold the steel banding onto the wood, but it is broken right here. And so we've got this jagged form, and then we've got, let's see, we're gonna thicken this line up a bit more. Okay, and then I've got 2 rivets here. I'm going to do those with a size of 10 again. And given the angle of the door, I'm going to arc them out a bit and then round them off. Okay. And where are we at? Let me zoom in this one time. This is 100%. And even at 100%, like I said, I think it's still bigger than what you will actually see it because the display is so big. But here we have a rivet, and on this one, normally I don't put a lot of lighting stuff in, but because the rivets are metal and they're going to have sort of a chrome effect to them. I mean, it's not necessarily chrome. It can be pretty much any metal. But that general shadow and highlight type thing, I'm going to leave that one little bit, which helps to suggest the form as well, I think. It's kind of like a bullet tip. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Maybe not quite so much. That's a bit much too. Like right about there. And of course, if it was manufactured like in a machine, these rivets would be exactly the same size. They should be perfect, like replicas. But because everything in this fantasy world is handmade, having things that aren't perfectly the same is probably a good idea. Because everything is handmade, so there's going to be an imperfection, some sort of a mismatch, that kind of thing. But of course, there are times when you will want your stuff to be perfect as well, like absolute master craftsmanship, with magic and whatnot in that fantasy setting. Alright, I'm just adding in some kind of like shadowy areas in that piece of the metal to help with the fact that it is jagged and torn up and stuff. Alright, but I don't want to do too much, otherwise I'd just leave you like a dark black thing to play with. Although this rivet is too much different. That's too much. There is such a thing as being too different, so let's just manipulate it a little bit. Let's try shrinking it down a little bit. Just about that much. That should be plenty. So now when we zoom back out, there we go. See, they look pretty much the same, but they're not exactly identical. And let's see, we're going back to a size of 20. I did take it down for some of that. Alright, so we've got to work on the door. Let's get all the way in here to 100% so we can work very closely. We're going to do a line here. This is the actual wood of the door, so I want it to be nice and bold. And then the wood is cracked. This door has been blown apart and it is jagged. It has planks, and those planks did not break off like evenly either, so between the different planks there are jagged spaces. And then, let's see, the next plank would probably be like right there. And maybe right here where this piece is sheared off. In fact, this piece is too straight. So let's go ahead and, alright. I'm going to make this more of a jagged piece out here, like that. But I've got some of that power burst line stuff, that whatever I called it, that's coming through there. I would just actually remove that bit. That part I'm not too worried about, you know, as far as losing just a little bit of it right there to help accentuate this particular spot. Let's make sure I don't have any garbage in here. Little scribbly leftovers and stuff. Now, because this is broken off here, and obviously, like, the next plank would probably be, like, right over here, this is broken off, so now I've got jagged wood right here, and it should have some thickness. We're just going to make that a thick line, because we don't need to get too complicated with it, especially it's just this little tiny area in the piece. Now I am going to zoom, or not zoom, reduce my brush back to the size of 10, and I'm going to add in the wood grain. Now you can see in my pencil sketch here, I threw in just a couple of quick scribbly lines. We're going to be a little bit more deliberate than that with this, just to make sure it suggests to you that this is some wood grain. Some of it starts at the top, some of it's going to be like starting at the bottom. Each line doesn't necessarily carry all the way through the board, and there is kind of like a knot here, and so that knot actually affects the flow of the wood grain lines around it. We'll just kind of make that a little bit more of a swirl right there. Bring this back in a little bit more. And as I said, now I'm drawing at 100%, so zoomed in this close, as I've mentioned a couple of times. As a book, people will never really see it quite this close. So if I can make it look good here, you know, barring that I'm just missing something by being in too close, then there should be no problems. You know, like they shouldn't like look at it and go, oh my god, what a piece of crap this is, or anything like that. Okay, now this is that jagged edge, and I want to make sure that I've got some like broken wood grain and stuff coming through here, like the board might have actually bent and broken at the same time, because wood will warp somewhat in that type of situation. Now let's make this a little bit more jagged here too, so these aren't nearly as uniform as they were right there when I just did it with a smooth stroke. There we go. Just some simple little stuff right there. And we can zoom back out again, take a look at it.
Got a few seconds? I got some stuff to tell you.
We got a commercial.
Hip-hop just turned 50. Sprite celebrating. And while we reminisce, we want to talk what's now and what's next.
Of course, I'm trying to find the right controls here, switching between screens. But okay, so I've just muted the commercial there. We're going to do some speed lines, or yeah, I mean that's essentially what they are, speed lines on the that piece of the door that we just drew in. And let's see, we go to brush size of 20, start with our origin point, and bring it in to about right here. Do another one to about right there. Go to brush size of 10. Bring another one in right there. And now, difference on this one is that this piece of the door is underneath this piece of the frame or the arch or whatever. I feel like it's actually going to be, I feel like it should be below or behind the wizard, but at the same time, we don't want to just create like a weird tangent thing going on right here. Let's try to do one more line here. I want to make sure that it's clear what's going on with this piece, because I can already tell this part might get a little bit weird or hard to decipher. So let me clear this tail out. And I like to keep these tails of the speed lines so they're not all exactly the same. It kind of, that chaos to it will add, I think, to the what do you call it? The illusion of energy, sort of a randomness effect. Let's see, we can gently curve those off like that. And then we're going to lose them right out of the wizards because they are behind him. Let's see, does that get... I think that should read clear enough to be deciphered. I think so. And I kind of want maybe another line right here, but let me try not to sketch it too squiggly. Let me get back into 100%. Okay. I mean, it's essentially going to be the same as that line there, but I don't want them to connect. So let's just pretend, just like that, and maybe do that, and maybe we'll freehand another one right here. So it don't have to be perfect, I think. How's that? I think that works. That way we've got it, it's like one thing shooting over the other thing without actually getting too complicated and overlapping each other too much. We need to zoom in. What else do we got out here? I've got energy. I've got plasma, fire. Okay, this is a nugget right here. So let's go back. Since this one's not crossing him, I'm going to do this one at a size of 10. And again, I just kind of want to create a sort of randomish, not too organic shape. I don't want to make it too much like a pebble, but I also don't want to make it too complicated either. And I like sort of the wedge type shape here for this. Let's go ahead and give it some thickness along there. And maybe we'll actually bring this back in, just like that. There. That's a weird shape to work with, you know, just thinking of it in 2 dimensions there, or 3 dimensions. And we got this one right here. This one, I'll let it stay a little bit more like a nugget. But again, we're just making some adjustments to it. We're going to keep it like that, and maybe even give it a little bit of a taper right there, like a weird sort of shape. Maybe not. That might be a little too much. A little bit. Okay. What else do we have? We have 2 pieces of board. I think I'm going to add just one more nugget right here. Alright, and that one literally is just a nugget, okay? And let's see. Just something like this, and maybe bring this in just a bit more there. That should do. Then we've got these boards. So again, now we could say like this board is out in front of him, and I think we should, because that will help to push things a little bit more, I think. So let's bring this board in, nice and thick like this. Give it this thickness. And then across here, it is broken. So this would be like part of the door again. Broken off and split. But in this case, we've got like just a whole plank all by itself. And I should not freehand that line. Okay. And of course, even these chunks of it probably should not be too squarish. Like they should be rough and jagged as they go along. And you'll have wood grain or divots in them like that. Let's see, we're gonna do, I don't want this to be too like uniform from the one end to the other. Let's make it more random looking. There we go. Because that was like perfect, and then yeah, it's still kind of similar, but a little bit more randomized, a little bit. Now we'll go ahead and freehand in these wood grain strokes. And of course the trick here, because it is a coloring book, is to not put in too many or overdo it, because you want to leave the space for the color to work. So you got to communicate as much as you can without overdoing it, so that the colorists can have their word, with their colors. They can express themselves. That's why I don't like to fill in a lot of like really big heavy black areas. I don't like to put shadows in, because the more shadows I put into the piece, the more I tell, basically the more I tell you where the light is coming from. And if I can leave most of that out, then you can decide for yourself where you want the light to be coming from and how strong it is. So you can do a lot of cool things with color that really change how a piece looks when it's done. All right, I think there's plenty in that piece of wood. Yeah. And then we might go ahead and just put a couple little lines here in the side of it too. Maybe not quite so uniform. Like get rid of some of that one, and maybe get rid of some of that one. And break that one in half. Or something like that. Just enough that it looks like it's got some texture to it. Let's get to this next piece of wood, back to 100%. And this one is like obliterated. And now it is not, I could tell from the thickness of the line that I drew here, it's not meant to be like out in the foreground. So we're going to go ahead and leave him with my brush size of 10. So the bigger and thicker the lines are on something, the closer it should appear to be, because it is very clearly delineated, and thinner lines should feel like they are further away as far as outlines of things go. Now, your lines obviously need to get thinner as you detail something. So, if I outline the wizard with a size of brush size of 10, I'll probably need to detail him with something where between a 7 and a 5, so that he's not just completely uniform looking in line width. And let's see. These two feel way too symmetrical. Let me change this up a little bit. I think I want it to break over that way. And then come in, give it a little bit of thickness there. Alright, I think we're about done here. Other than that fire. lines there. Maybe add a little bit of thick line right there to suggest some thickness to that. And I think we are done with debris, but we got to do the speed lines for that debris, right? Yeah, no more debris out there. Except, I think that might be a piece of debris right there, and I'm not putting speed lines through this guy's face. So, yeah, if that is debris, we're leaving it out. But let me take a look and see. Yeah, so that was debris, and I had a piece up here, but I don't want to draw those speed lines through his face. Now, I could put it out there and just, like, not even... Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like if I put it out there but don't put any lines on it. This is kind of an experiment part. So let's make this kind of like a big piece of rubble that's vaguely circular. Very vaguely. Like a mix between a rectangle and a circle. And then I had another piece right up here. And let's see. Looking at it. Okay. So I'm going to use another layer mask just to experiment with this on the blast lines. So again, instead of actually painting out, or instead of erasing and losing those blast lines, I can just paint them out on this layer mask the same way we were doing with the wizard, so that if I decide this looks like crap, I can just undo it, delete that mask or whatever, and go right on back to where I was. Alrighty. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to turn the music back on. I guess I should do that. We're probably back to another commercial by now. Alright. Let's take a look, though, real quick. Okay, I think I like it because it breaks up that area. You know, I think that's what my intention was, really, is to get some more empty space here for coloring that would be breaking up that area. Let me get this going again. Alright, we are back to music. And I need to be back in my screen. There we go. Alright, we've got about our first hour done so far. So I think what I'm going to do here is, let's see, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take like a 5-minute break, and I'm just going to let this play on the Be Right Back screen. And then when I come back, we will do another hour where we're going to finish off this fire. We're going to figure out how that all works together. And then we might be starting inks on page 23, which I haven't mentioned in this session. The rest of the book is penciled already. So this is page 23 of 32, or 22 of 32. I have pages 23 through 32 after this to all ink in, but I did sketch them all. And so yeah, that's, you know, when we finish this page, we'll be jumping over to the next page. And I am really excited to get to some of these pages because I do remember putting a lot of effort into sketching some of them, and I really liked how some of them actually came out. Some of them I even sort of painted, even without inking them, for thumbnails and stuff. But let me go take that break, and I will be back in about 5 minutes or so. So stay tuned.
Wireless data. It's what connects us to just about everything. And full power licensed spectrum is how it gets from point A to point B. Americans will use 5 times more 5G data by 2027. To make sure all Americans benefit from secure, reliable 5G networks, we need more full power licensed spectrum. Go to more5gspectrum.com to learn more.
Mornings are purposeful and sacred, especially your morning coffee. Life is all about balance. With Natural Bliss brown sugar flavored oat creamer, you can create your perfect cup that tastes great. That is bliss. Or try any of their other plant-based flavored creamers like almond vanilla or oat vanilla. Ah, simple pleasures with Natural Bliss plant-based creamers. It's not just coffee, it's bliss. Natural Bliss. Click or tap the banner to learn more.
For my next trick, I will get a real offer to sell this car in less than 2 minutes.
It's not really magic. Just an instant online offer from CarMax, good for 7 days. Great crowd.
CarMax, car selling reimagined.
At US Cellular, you don't have to trade in your old phone for a new one. That must sound really good to you, guy with a junk drawer.
I'm going to sell it to my sister. Who am I kidding? It's going right in the junk drawer.
Get $600 off any phone. No trade-in needed. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
Okay, we are coming back, but we are going to have traffic shortly coming through. I'll have to pause for a moment when that happens. Before I do that, I'm going to pop this up. So, what we're working on here is the fantasy coloring book. We're currently on page 22 of 32, and I plan on releasing it on my Etsy store as a PDF that you can download, and also as a book that you can purchase like in print. Let's see. We'll just go right back here. We're here on page 22, and it is time. Oh, it's not quite time to start on the fireball yet, because we still have to do these speed lines for these pieces of debris right here. Yeah, you can see my cursor. Okay. We're not going to do speed lines for those since they are out there in that blast, and I definitely did not want to draw speed lines through the character's face. But let's zoom in some. Now, we were using a brush size. Oh, we're going to pause again. Okay, now we're really back. So what is my brush size doing all the way up to 35? Alright, we're back down to, we're going to do size of 10. Now, in these other speed lines, we were doing size of 20 for the big ones, but, well, we'll do 20 for that one. We'll do that one at 20, because I do think that is out in the foreground here. We'll draw a nice bold line out to there. And a nice bold line out to there. And you know what? I like the way that tapers. So let's see if I can actually get that to happen. I'm still learning a little bit how to get the, when I do the shift click to, you know, make it have that thickness variation. We'll put one here. And we will put one, let me go with 2 actually. Oh, I don't know if I even got it there. There we go. So that's a nice little range to them. And let's go ahead and cut this one down like that. And cut this one down right there. Alright. Now, of course, they're not going all the way back to that origin. I'm going to terminate this one right about here. And bring this up a little bit more on the inside, and maybe bring that one, those 2. There we go. That way it kind of suggests more movement than having them uniform all the way through. In fact, let's taper that one. There we go. Now we're going to do some more. We're back to a brush size of 10. And my origin point of where I'm drawing it to has actually shifted just a little bit there. Not that big of a deal. But it will show up the more, whoa, I touched and didn't realize I touched. Okay. Now that, as you can see, is coming through the wizard. We're going to have to clean that out just a little bit. That should be plenty. And for this one, let's cut it in right about here. And knock those guys in like right there. Bring this back. And as I just said, we don't want those lines going through the wizard. I want that piece to be like behind him, especially behind his necklace here. So we're just going to erase those lines out from where they overlap. Now that does give us kind of a weird little tangent right there. I'm just going to take that out, because I think that will be less confusing, really, like visually. If you're sitting here coloring, you're Could be looking at, what the hell is that line for? We don't want that. Okay. Now, we've got that piece I'm not going to worry about too much, but we could... Oh, let me try to freehand one in here. Oh, I want to do it thinner here. No, thicker here and thinner down there, but that didn't work either. Maybe we'll try doing it from an origin down here. So I gotta really work on, you know, how hard I press to create that effect. I don't know. That feels... maybe it'll be okay. But obviously we don't want that extreme amount right there. Let's kind of cut that like that. And cut those guys there. So I know that these lines are not necessarily being drawn back to the proper origin, and there is a little bit of a danger here because if I erase in that rock, the rock is on the same layer, so it would erase as well. Let me add a little bit more of a divot right here, just like that. I like that hump, so I'm just kind of adding a little bit to that rock to make it a little bit less even, a little bit more chunky. Alright, now we're going back over here, and we're going to deal with this rock. Now that line's going to come right through the exact same spot, so we don't want that. Here, and maybe one here. Oops, I went and tapped too lightly up there. Okay, and maybe one more, just like right there. Now this one, I'm going to terminate right here like so, and bring that one in. Let me try to sort of thin this one down. Okay, I'm trying to do that shift click and see. I don't like that. Okay, it's very tricky to do that with the eraser part without going all the way back to the actual origin. So, but let's try to do that. Let's try clicking right here and go back to the origin. Back up here. Yeah, I'm just not getting it. It's got to be just right. There it goes. I just wanted to thin that line down a little bit more. And let's go ahead and take it like right there. That should work. Oh, okay, and these two are terminating at like the same point. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to just make it that little bit different. And then we've got this board, and we're going to go ahead and do that one. So origin point here. We're going to go to about there. About here. And here. And here. This one we will do like right there. Then I'm going to take that one all the way to there, and this one here, and shorten that one up. So now we've got our speed lines blasting out from the thing, and all of those energy blast lines in the background. Lots of stuff going on, lots of action. Now it's time, I think. Yes, now it is time to lay in the fireball, which is behind everything. So let me create a new layer. I gotta drag that down below everything. We're gonna zoom back into 100%, and I'm gonna start, let's see. Okay, we're gonna start down here. We're gonna use a brush size of 7 for this. And I am literally just drawing in sort of the rough, jagged fireball. I'm looking to see where my speed lines are, so that I can kind of just bring this around and suggest that this is indeed in the background, and those speed lines are.
For my next trick, I will magically get an offer to sell this car to CarMax in less than 2 minutes.
Covering it up. Let's see, how does this look? If I just kind of bring that in.
Actually,
I don't like
getting
that,
an instant online offer to sell your car to CarMax isn't magic. It's a real offer you can get in under 2 minutes.
We're gonna leave that out, and we'll bring this bit in right here.
CarMax, car selling reimagined.
Plan ahead for your next trip. This summer,
So it's a little bit
plans to see the
strange
unique
since
aquatic life
I'm working
in the
with
award-winning exhibits at the National Aquarium.
you know, all this
Located on
fireball
Baltimore's Inner
and
Harbor.
energy blast
Summer
stuff
is
going
the
on.
perfect time to visit and
But
discover
we're gonna keep
thousands of
that,
unique animals
and
from around the world. Buy tickets
blast pretty
before
much
you
runs
arrive
around
at aqua.org/tickets.
and is going to be kind of like right here. So we're just keeping these lines, and now I'm zoomed out, so we're at what, 50%? Now we're at 100%. 100% is the easiest or the best place to be as far as making sure that I put these lines in and they don't look too scribbly. I don't think I really want to carry in like some of this fire stuff that I had deep or like way out there in the background. So I'm just kind of trying to feel it out and put it where it feels the most I don't know, natural or appropriate. And I'm not liking this interaction right here. Let's try that. Bring it around here. Okay. And so once we've got that, that is essentially the outline of the fireball there, which it's broken up and everything. Got stuff going through it. But now we can put in the internal lines. And again, we've got all those speed lines are going to be interfering with it. So we're not going to draw them all in, all the ones that I've sketched. And of course you can see that when I did sketch, even like when I sketched the fire lines, I kind of just did it real quick and scribbly. I just wanted to get a suggestion for it, or give the suggestion of it, so that we could come through and sort of flesh it out. And I'm seeing, I want this to be actually, I like that line, so let me take that, and I just put that on the wrong layer too, my bad. Let me take it out, first of all, because I just did that on the debris line, or layer. We're going to take that out. I'm going to put it back on that back layer. And I'm going to rotate it, because I don't like how it's going this way while that stuff's going that way. Let's bring it down sort of like this. That should, I think, help a little bit. And of course, I'm going to erase a part of that out of there. Let me turn off the debris real quick. Okay. making sure I didn't draw those fire lines on the the debris layer. Okay, so that's that. It actually gave it its own layer on top of that layer. Now we're good. All right, so then this one is okay because we're kind of rotating around the circle here. But let's go ahead and do sort of chaotic flaming twist up there. And then let's see. Maybe that'll be a little bit less spiky. This piece here might kind of go like so, and bring it around, and then just kind of terminate it right there. And then this piece that I've drawn, we're going to make sure that stays arced pretty much like that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just draw that arc. How about that? We're going to do that, and I'll worry about cleaning it out as we go, or once we get this all sketched in. So now I've got this arc that I want to follow with my fire line. That's enough right there. Bring this back and try to just kind of make it look like, essentially what I'm drawing is kind of like if you were to be drawing, say, the surface of the sun right there, right? But then we just erase that arc out of there. But we've already got the line, you know, the important stuff, so it's all good. Now we're going to go down, and we've got another one. This one, let's go ahead and arc it like that. And this one's got this big, huge, fiery burst coming off of it. I don't like that particular little bit right there. Let's see what we can do with this, and then tidy it all up. And we are at 100%, so you know that's important. Making sure that we are close enough that if I fix it and it looks good here, that it'll look good in the book. I don't like that being just all knobby going down. Let's see. Let's kind of bring this guy around. Give you a little flare here. A little bit of a curve in it, and then flare down. And some of that line was getting a bit scribbly. There we go. We'll just erase this arc. Okay, what else do we got out there? I want to kind of work from the outside in if I can. Alright, so it's looking pretty chaotic. You know, it's not equal or symmetrical, really. Alright, let me go ahead and rotate this around like this. And we'll zoom out again just a little bit. So I'm going to draw here an arc. Let's see, it's going right about like there, but that didn't quite get where I wanted it to be. Something like that. That should be good. Back to 100%, and as I've mentioned before, we're not going to draw it actually in those speed lines, and it's not going through the character, so it's just kind of this fiery suggestion. Take out that arc, and it's just right there in the background. Make sure I get that all out of there. There we go. We'll zoom out again, looking for another one. Let's zoom back in. Let's see, so I've got some here, some here. So there's a lot of speed lines going out here, which are gonna mess with being able to put any of that in, really. So we just won't do it there. But I will go ahead and put in this little suggestion of one here. And maybe, let's see, put in this bit here. Make sure to give it a flare. I am zoomed out again while I'm doing this. But it should be okay. Let's go ahead and do a bit right here that comes along. And yeah, so yeah, there's all these little pieces of debris with their speed lines. We don't want to draw the fireball there. Now we're going to rotate him back around again. And we've got magic coming out of his hand, which is going to supersede. It's going to go over even the speed lines. So let me do a new layer for that part. But this one, I'm going to make this background fireball. Sorry about talking with my mouth full there. Okay. And this one's going to be magic, or hand magic. It's essentially the fireball, as it's being cast. But this, I'm going to go ahead and take, yeah, it's going to be over the blast lines. Actually, I'm just going to put it on top, over everything. And then on my debris, I'm going to put a layer mask. And I think I'm going to want to just go ahead and paint out the speed lines. Literally right here. I'm going to kind of follow that shape that I've already laid out. I'm not going to worry too much about having it accurate. I want to just have sort of that. So a little bit of the form that I sketched there, so I can reference it. And that's mostly all I need. I got maybe a little bit more right here. And again, since I am just I'm painting this out on a layer mask. If I don't like what I come up with, I can undo it. Just basically paint it back in without having to like redraw it. Let's go back to the hand magic. Brush size of 10. Yeah, 10's good. 100%. And I'm just going to start drawing in this fire. And as I mentioned, you know, a lot of this magic stuff, I just kind of laid it in real quick and scribbly when I did it. So we will be refining it as we go along. And what I do here, I can fine tune with that layer mask with the speed lines as I finish it. Oh, that's okay. So we got a lot of things that can kind of interact with each other here. I want to try to sort of avoid making any crazy tangents, breaking things up into tiny little areas that might be hard to understand, like when you're coloring. Okay. Now we're going to go right here. So essentially this is like a ring of fire that is circling his hand. It's all just kind of like a plasma fire type thing. And I've got these bubbly plasma bits in here too. This one, I think. Nah, I don't want that circle actually being all the way through there, but we can sort of sketch it in somewhat, and then maybe bring this one in a bit. Here's one. this one kind of looks like Mickey Mouse. Alright. And then we're going to come around the bottom here. And just, like, let's sort of try to keep this rounded, really. So, right there, I just totally went off of, or deviated from the pencil drawing. But yeah, I'm gonna keep that big flare there. I don't like that one coming off like at that weird angle, but that I kind of like. This is another thing that I try to avoid doing. I've got like sort of a, what do you call that? The tip of the flame was filled in black. And I try to draw it where it's more of a tip in the white area so that it can be colored all the way to the tip as opposed to just a big black tip to, you know, to show the form. And this is the first coloring book I have ever made, so I have been figuring things out as I go, and a lot of it's in theory. And, you know, like what I think will be desirable in pictures for a coloring book, I could be completely wrong. But I know that if I were going to be coloring the book, I would want most of the things that I have done. So, you know, if nothing else, I have that to go on. And I have colored quite a few pages in my time. I remember for a long time I had, well, yeah, like when I was in high school even, I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coloring book that I liked to work in. And I didn't really know anything about color theory at the time, so you know, the work I did in that was probably not that great, but I had fun doing it. And if there is one thing that I hate with coloring books, it's color and activity books. I don't like this right here. That is just bleh. Let's bring it around like this. Okay. And that's kind of a weird interaction between those two, the way that it flows. So let's bring that in just like that. And if I'm gonna have a flare in it, let's try to bring it right here. I don't think I want the flare in it at all. Not right there. And okay, so that brings us around the hand. We've got these little plasma bubbles. Maybe I'll add one more right here. I'm thinking about whether or not I should add some that cross into the ring, but I don't think so. I don't think I want to do that. Now, I'm going to go back to a size of 5. Now, this is, you know, the fireball being cast into the distance. So, by thinning the line down to a size of 5, we should be suggesting that there is a certain level of, you know, of like distance traveled in that. Okay, so I just muted the music again. We are on a commercial. Let's see. But yeah, so as these lines go back in the distance, I want them to get thinner to help suggest that distance, because really, I mean, on the page it's not that far of a distance, and with the perspective of the image, it's a little bit hard to gauge just how far that would be. But I think this will work. I think it does work a little bit. It might not work as great as I would like it to, but it should do at least some of the job. And I'm trying not to make my fire look like a swirl cone. Let's see. Okay, let me... It gets all kind of squished up right here. Let me do this. This is like the arc that I want to keep. So let me cut this stuff out. And we'll try to follow that arc a little bit better. It doesn't have to be that big of a difference. We just kind of cut that right across there. And I could, let me think. I don't think that I really want to break up this line any. I want to keep this piece like central and solid, so that it does suggest that it is a fireball. I mean, the lines don't have to be exactly touching all the way through, but they should be pretty much solid to help suggest that it is a fireball. And I'm making some of these like way too uniform and close together. Let me try right here. So now I'm getting into some of that scribbly stuff where things go a little bit wonky because I'm figuring it out on the fly. We're going to go into 200% right now. Right down here. And you see how that's got that like black line tip, and I don't want that. I want the tip to be open as I can make it, like right to there. So that's okay. But if it was like just a line, you can't color a line. Not really. I mean, you can if you're drawing it with a color, but you know, if I give you a black line, what are you really going to do with that in a coloring book without white out or something? This one. Okay. I guess she decided nobody watches my stream anyway, so she'll just walk right through and not worry about being on camera. That's okay. Oh no, that's getting too stylized and too smooth. It makes me think of what is it? There was, I believe it was a Mexican restaurant that had a sun logo, like Cafe del Sol or something like that, and that is exactly what that was making me think of with those smooth lines. I mean, not that their logo was bad, but it was clearly not, you know, was not really fire. It was, you know, stylized decoration. Not that this is necessarily real fire either, but you know, I'm trying to capture the chaotic energy of the magic. And so I think we've done better here, but across the bottom it's gone kind of flat right here. So what I want to do is move that around a little bit. So I essentially want this arc like right through here. Excuse me again. Let's see how that gets us. And without doing too many spikes, you know, and flares and making it too stylized. And I've got that little line right there that's been bugging me. Good thing I remembered to get that. Okay. Alright, so we're not bad, but this could benefit from being like way over here. Maybe not quite that far out. Let's try that. And we will knock this all down. And maybe cut this guy back. that. Alright, so we got a good form, but then it's still falling really short right back here. And it's doing it all the way around. So let's see here. Let's try bringing this around this way. And instead of getting rid of all of this, we're going to get rid of that and leave that kind of tapering in. Maybe like that. Okay, so now the fire is like arcing back behind there. And do the same thing over here. Just like that. And you see I got these scribbly bits from trying to clean up. Okay. Need my eraser to be tidy. There we go. Alright. And I'll keep an eye out for any more of those scribbly bits, because this area was very much on the fly, figure it out as we go kind of thing. Let's flare that bit out more. And maybe bring this back like so. Alright, let me take a look. Alright. It's not a perfect circle, but it is circular. Okay, it is this thing, and we need to carry that line in. The casting line is what I'm going to call it. This line should probably keep coming in and narrowing down. And the same thing up here. Instead of going high, let me make my eraser a bit bigger. And yeah, so instead of going high like I did there, we're going to bring it back towards that center. Okay, so we're going to just kind of bring this guy in like that. And carry this thing in. And at this point, it's literally just energy going back towards the center of the fireball. And it might have some semblance of flame right there. Maybe even just kind of flare this out. That would be like the absolute core of the ball right there. And maybe put a little bit more here. Just sort of like that. And then we can have, say, like some more flame lines, and these are just going to be quick and scribbly anyway. I'm going to do them smooth, but they are literally just kind of quick, added in to help break up the area a little bit without really separating it into sections. Let's see what we've got for this fireball. Alright, so it is a big fireball that's it's kind of hard to see. That part I don't like about it. What else can we do with this? I think that's really about it, but there is this piece. I'm on my draw lasso tool here. Try not to hit anything else. Oh, is this back here? Okay. So we're going to drag that back a little bit and rotate it back around like this to about right there. How's that? I like that better, I think. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's obvious that there is energy and stuff going on there. And I think it works. Oh, this is looking flat. That one skinny little line right there, and it went like instead of out there. So we're going to get, oh, that's over here on the hand magic. Got to be on the right layer to get rid of it. So let's go ahead and fluff that right about there. Probably, I don't know that I really even necessarily need that in there. Because the hand magic should be, this main burst area should be overriding that, I think. Covering it up a bit. So how does it look without it? Yeah, I think that works okay. And we can add just a little bit more right here. We'll go with like this arc. Give it a flame right here. Don't really want much, just a little suggestion of fire right there to keep that area from being left out. Maybe another one right here. That should do it. Okay, so yeah, we got fire blasting out, and the last thing we need is just a little bit more detail in the debris. So we will zoom in, go back over here to the debris layer, make sure I'm on the actual layer, and so I'm going to use my brush here at a size of 7. So these ones with the thick lines, I drew those at 20. So 7 is a much thinner line coming in doing detail work. I'm just kind of putting some cracks in here. Maybe I'll put some spots, showing like rock texture kind of. Maybe even fill in one little area with black. And let me make sure I go all the way to 100% so I can see what I'm doing without just scribbling and making a mess. And here we go. I don't like these. They look like some sort of weird wrinkles. But I will keep that and clean that up a little bit and bring another line in right there. And maybe put just like a few little divots that suggest things. I don't like the circle though. This big circle, don't like that. Let's go with like 3 lines there. That's all I need. So it's got a little bit of a crack, and you can have one here that doesn't really go anywhere, and maybe it breaks off again. It is just rubble flying through the air. Let's go ahead and bring one in here. And we will give it a few spots and maybe a little divot right there. And let's actually rough that in just a little bit more right there and fill this in with black. So we will essentially create a chunk in that rock. There we go. And what time is it now? Wow, it is 9 o'clock already. Time flies while you're sitting here doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, we got a few minutes left, and I thought we would like plow through this thing and be on the next page today, but it looks like we're gonna just barely finish this one. So I'm going to go through the rest of this detailing, and then I'm going to end the stream. So that will be our 2 hours for today. Aside from my little break that I took, I think that might have been closer to, it might have been closer to 10 minutes than 5. If so, I apologize for that. But I will be back tomorrow. No more cancellation videos, especially not sideways ones. So tomorrow, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and then tomorrow we're gonna start working on page 23, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you a sneak preview of what page 23 looks like before I go. Let's go ahead and put some lines in here. I'm just giving it those little dots that kind of suggest, they're like halfway between dots and lines, to give it the suggestion of like rough, gritty texture in places. Let's bring this back here. That's enough. Alright. Now this rock pillar, I'm going to go ahead and put a crack in it right here, varying thicknesses. Maybe it's going to have sort of like a hairline fracture running back this way, and maybe another little one here. Nothing too much, just give it a little bit of roughage. I mean, it did just break and go flying through the air in extreme heat. Alright. In this rock, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to put, let's see, like 3 divots there. I'm going to break that in a little bit. And maybe put some right there. A couple there too. Keep it simple. Is there anybody missing texture here? Got that. Oh, this guy. This guy's not getting much of anything. We're going to put some here and some here. That's enough. This one, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of darkness in, suggesting like some angular cuts and chunkiness there. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more here. And just kind of give him some of that. Oh, and then we got this guy. This guy's getting a very dark section right along there. And maybe another one here. And this one. Multiple fractures going up through the form. I'm going to make this section black, like it's completely in shadow, and bring a crack across here. Maybe have like a little tiny one here. Maybe not. What if we just go ahead and give it 2 dots there, and maybe 3 here, and maybe that. Okay. Let's fill that section in right there. Alright. I feel like there is enough texture in there now. And we're going to go ahead and turn the pencils off, if I can find them here. There we go. No more pencils. So it is literally now just the black and white artwork. No other stuff. Alright, here I need to paint out the wizard on the layer. Make my brush a bit bigger. Make sure I am at 100%. So we'll just go ahead and take out those lines right there from the wizard, since they kind of fall into that. That goes behind the wizard. Looking for, anything that looks like it needs to be touched up. Now this is on the debris layer. We want to take that out of it right there. I think there was some right there. Just looking for those little overlaps that that we don't want to leave in. And let's see, I got some scribbly bits here. Alright. Is that another one? Yeah, that's some more little scribbly bits right there. That should be on the wizard layer, I think. Huh. Alright. Or maybe it is on the debris layer, because it might be, yeah, it's stuff that I didn't clean out all the way. Okay. Anyway, so I gotta do some like little fine tuning on here, get rid of the little tiny bits that you won't see right away, but if you're spending time actually coloring the page, you would see. But it's not bad. So that is page 22 essentially done. And we're going to be jumping to page 23 tomorrow when I come on. But here, let's go to page 23. I shot over it. Here it is. Alright, page 23 is where the heroes, the wizard, the Drow Paladin, the Drow Paladin, the Elf Cleric, Dwarf Ranger, and Dwarf Fighter, they're all entering into those ruins. And this is the same wizard that just launched that fireball, blowing that doorway open. So they're coming in, they're fighting skulls, bones, rubble. It's an abandoned ruin of some sort, with some decorative pillars and other things. So that is what we're going to work on tomorrow. Start inking that page. So I hope you'll tune in. I will start the stream as soon as I can tomorrow. My scheduled time is 7. If I can get home earlier than that, I will start earlier than 7. And we'll go for 2 hours. So I'm going to jump off of here, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my stream.